New tonight, body cam video released showing the arrest of a man who says excessive force was used on him. City of Fayetteville is sticking by the officer's actions, saying they are ready to defend the lawsuit filed against them. CBS 17's Kayla Strayer live in Fayetteville after talking to the man who was arrested and two retired officers who say they don't see anything wrong with this case.
Democratically run cities are in shambles. No one wants to live there. The cops don't want to police there. It's just a mess. This defund the police thing, this whole Black Lives Matter thing has been the worst thing that happened to this country in decades. I don't even have to see this to know that the brother was in the wrong. And that's sad that I haven't even seen this yet. This just came up on my desk and I haven't even seen it yet. Hit one of you, or if you're with me, if you already know that the brother was acting irrational, out of control, overly emotional, couldn't follow commands, couldn't follow directions, couldn't see past the moment into the future, couldn't see how one step would lead to the next. You already know that. And you haven't even seen it yet. Wow. At least back in the day, in the 90s, you would have to see the video first. Now you don't even have to see the video and you know how the brother was acting. And he's still trying to sue them. He still may win.
Yeah, so the man who was arrested tells me that he and his granddaughter were the ones who called police for help, saying they felt threatened by his granddaughter's ex-boyfriend and that they thought he had a gun. Here's what some of the video shows happened.
So they called the police. That don't surprise me at all. Nobody calls the police more than black people do. And I don't blame him for calling the police if the daughter's boyfriend had a gun. That's a huge problem in black communities. I'm very sympathetic to fathers. Like right now, I got a daughter. My daughter's 6 months old. 5 years ago, you would have asked me, who I wanted her to marry? And I would have been adamant, I want my daughter to marry a black man. Don't bring home no cracker. Now, I don't care. If she marries a white man or she marries an Asian man, more power to her. If she dates some guy and when she starts dating, he's not black, more power to her. Because if you look at the gun memorial in these places, you know who's doing the killing. If you read the news, you know who's doing the killing. Yes, white people kill people. Yes, Asian people kill people. Yes, all that stuff. But at some point, black people, you got to start playing the odds. So I'm very sympathetic to this father who got to deal with some hip-hop listening to, pants sagging, single mother raised, overly emotional, gangster wannabe, jailbird, who's dating his daughter, entitled, irrational, headed straight to the penitentiary from the time he was born. And you got to deal with this with your daughter. And not only do you have to deal with it with your daughter, these guys, these black fathers and mothers, their daughters are going to, after this, the daughter's going to go back to the guy because she's got feelings for the guy. She loves the guy and whatnot. So you're just it's just a terrible situation for black parents raising daughters. I'm very sympathetic to that. And he called the police. He did the right thing rather than blowing this boy's brains out, which would have ended up putting him in jail. The police responded. The police came to save the day. So let's see what happened next.
The man who was arrested tells me that he and his granddaughter were the ones who called police for help, saying they felt threatened by his granddaughter's ex-boyfriend and that they thought he had a gun. Here's what some of the video shows happened. Fayetteville police officers were called to help with a domestic situation in 2019. Officer body camera footage shows Robert Edwards hitting this man, his granddaughter's ex-boyfriend. Also in front of officers, Edwards' granddaughter is shown hitting the man as well.
You go over there.
This means two probable causes for arrest for both the woman and her grandfather, says.
So you fighting a 63-year-old man. I'm sure that's a fine young man, right? I'm sure that's a fine young man. Fighting a 63-year-old man. Now, who thinks that even while the police are there, this young, fine young man is threatening future bodily harm to the granddaughter and the grandfather right in front of the police? Who thinks that? Or you think that he's holding his tongue? Who thinks that he's talking about, I'm going to come back, I'm going to get you later, you dead, or stuff like that? Who thinks that? I think the police, knowing what goes on in their city, if they arrested that man and his granddaughter, if they arrested them too, that was a mistake.
Fayetteville police officers were called to help with a domestic situation in 2019. Officer body camera footage shows Robert Edwards hitting this man, his granddaughter's ex-boyfriend. Also in front of officers, Edwards' granddaughter is shown hitting the man as well.
You go over there.
This means two probable causes for arrest for both the woman and her grandfather, says retired NYPD officer Robert Young.
So in my eyes, the officer didn't do anything wrong.
The video shows the continued arguing in front of officers, with the granddaughter screaming profanities at officers, and officers telling Edwards to step back. An officer arrested him when he continued moving forward.
And he told them not to come forward again, and he did not listen to directions.
Edwards says excessive force was used to take him down, causing him to hit his head and be knocked unconscious.
So yeah. So as it escalated, yeah. That's one thing. Like, if you're fighting when the cops come, stop fighting. If they break it up, don't charge them or the guy that you were formerly fighting. So the young guy did do the right thing. The young brother did. He played it smart. The young brother just stayed calm and he didn't move forward. The granddaughter and the grandfather kept it going after the police came and they got arrested. Just like I said in my prelude to this. So even though I understand how difficult it is to deal with these young black men, especially when they're in relationships and they're love and hormones, they're bad enough. But when they're in love, when your loved one is the person they love and have feelings for, and it's just horrible. It's dreadful. However, the police are there. You got to stop fighting. And he didn't, and he got arrested. And he's whining about being taken to the ground when he was just rolling on the ground. He was just on the ground fighting. He was just on the ground fighting with a 20-year-old, 19, 20-year-old. What's the problem with getting on the ground again when you charge the police? I get it, man. It's rough, man. You got some overly emotional 20-year-old gangster wannabe, disrespectful, young man at your house trying to fight your granddaughter. You got to protect him because he's trying to beat up your granddaughter in front of you, calling all types of names in front of you. I get it, man, but you got to stop fighting.
To step back. An officer arrested him when he continued moving forward.
And he told him not to come forward again, and he did not listen to directions.
Edwards says excessive force was used to take him down, causing him to hit his head and be knocked unconscious.
He being black. There's no other reason for you to jump on a 63-year-old man.
Then he says it's because he was black. After all of that, he attributes him being arrested to him being black. And if y'all saw, we touched on the critical race theory last night, how they're teaching this in the schools now to first graders. That everything that happens is because of race. This guy, obviously, he's been indoctrinated with it over the years. Most black people feel this way, but now they're going to be teaching this in the schools.
He being black. There's no other reason for you to jump on a 63-year-old man.
Yeah, I got an ambulance coming to check you out because you hit your head pretty hard. I put you on the ground because you weren't listening. You were trying to fight the other young man in the street.
And also, you saw the officers being very polite.
James Johnson is also a retired NYPD officer. Both men reviewed the video, coming to the same conclusion.
I don't believe excessive force was used at all. I believe that, he did what he had to do.
Do you see anything, any racial bias in this case from looking at this video?
No.
You did anything wrong in this case?
No, not to be slammed in the ground.
So all charges against Edwards have been dropped, and he is filing a lawsuit against the city to pay for his medical bills and pain and suffering, saying that he had bleeding in his brain and a concussion from that arrest. The city of Fayetteville, again, sticking by the officer's actions, and city council reviewed the video, saying that they don't believe any excessive force was used, and the officer followed all protocols in this case. Reporting live in Fayetteville, Kayla Strayer, CBS 17 News.
A nurse from Missouri spent 2 days living in New York City before she packed her bags and headed home. She says that she was assaulted by a stranger near Penn Station. 25-year-old Taylor Dowling says that she was walking with her parents to their hotel last night when she was randomly punched in the head near 34th Street and 9th Avenue. She was supposed to stay here as part of a summer nursing program performing COVID vaccinations, but she says that she wouldn't feel safe riding the subway.
Imagine if I'm by myself and I don't know anybody. So there's just no point to stay and risk that.
Now, you guys heard what de Blasio said yesterday about the trades.
If you said to one of my kids, oh, you shouldn't go on the subway, it's not safe, they would laugh you out of the room. They would tell you you clearly couldn't be a real New Yorker.
This is the leadership in New York. This is the guy in charge. The buck stops here. Okay, de Blasio, we'll take you up on your offer. Let's hear from a real New Yorker.
I'd like to see you put some more police officers out here. Do something. Please. We are begging you.
25-year-old Taylor Dowling says that she was walking with her parents to their hotel last night when she was randomly punched in the head near 34th Street and 9th Avenue. She was supposed to stay here as part of a summer nursing program performing COVID vaccinations, but she says that she wouldn't feel safe riding the subway.
Imagine if I'm by myself and I don't know anybody. So there's just no point to stay and risk that.
So instead of starting her new job today, she flew back to St. Louis with her parents.
I was sitting on the sidewalk and somebody hit me out of nowhere. So I don't really know why.
Terrifying moments for a young nurse from St. Louis who just 2 days ago was ready to start her dream of living in the Big Apple. Tonight, Taylor Dowling's back home in Missouri after she says she was attacked by a stranger on the streets of New York.
New York's so rough, they running people from St. Louis out of there. Now, St. Louis is a rough town, Jack. But mostly in St. Louis, the victims of crime are black people. New York, Asians, whites, Sikh, Hispanic, everybody is subject to be randomly attacked in public. These democratically run cities are cesspools, and now they run the entire country. Is anyone surprised by what you're seeing? Hit the like button, hit the PayPal, hit the Cash App. Treat me like Kevin Samuels, man. We doing just as important work as Kevin Samuels. You know, be a high value news knower. He teach you how to be confident. We teaching you what's going on, what's really going on in the world, in your country, in your city, coast to coast. Hit that PayPal, hit that Cash App, hit that Super Chat.
On the sidewalk and somebody hit me out of nowhere, so I don't really know why.
Terrifying moments for a young nurse from St. Louis who just 2 days ago was ready to start her dream of living in the Big Apple. Tonight, Taylor Dowling's back home in Missouri after she says she was attacked by a stranger on the streets of New York. She was supposed to take part in a summer nursing program performing COVID-19 vaccinations. Well, last night, she was just walking with her parents back to the hotel when she says a stranger randomly punched her in the head. The family visited Manhattan 2 years ago and says this trip was dramatically different.
My husband and I were just completely floored. We were like, what the hell just happened? We have seen everything. We've seen people shooting up drugs. The first time we were in New York, it was never like that.
The family was so taken aback, they didn't even think about filing a police report before catching their flight home to St. Louis.